All right, guys, we're back for our live third session. We are with the defensive coordinator for Frostburg University, Coach Eric Wagoner. Excited to have you, Coach. Thanks so much for being here. Got a lot of people that are tuned in, and they're going to keep coming through with the questions and the stuff. Your presentation is on hawk tackling. I'm not going to take it. You go rock it. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. Excited to do this. Didn't know how many clinics would get to do or anything with COVID. And I will say this is my first time doing one this way, so please bear with me. I have one of our defensive tackles, Coach Wiggins, is here to help me technically. So if we have any issues, I'll let you know. But I think it should go smoothly. We want to talk about something that's been important to myself since I started coaching or soon after. The Seattle Seahawks, most of people probably seen their video where they talk about the hawk tackling. They take the head out of the tackling. It's a rugby-style tackling, help with safety in the game and become better tacklers. I'm going to walk everyone through how we teach it to our guys defensively. This is one of the first things that we teach to our guys. We're going to teach them what we need to do, the 3 steps of hawk tackling. We have a couple different types of tackling that we'll do. I'll show some game clips, and then at the end, if we have questions, I'll answer those. If not, I can talk about some drill. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton of drill work on, or I don't have any drill work on this right now, but I do have some carryover from practice. So big thing when we're talking hawk tackling, the reason we do it, okay, the reason we got away from, biting the ball or putting your face mask in his chest and all those things is the safety portion of it. With where the game's heading and where the game has headed, getting the head out of the game, getting away from the concussions, the targeting, guys being suspended and things like that. The hawk tackling has made me feel like, and other coaches I've worked with, that it puts us in the best position to be successful and the best position to keep our guys safe. Like I said, we're taking the head out of the tackle, you reduce spinal injuries, which is kind of the worst case scenario. Nobody ever wants those. If you coach long enough, you may have one on your team, maybe 2 in your lifetime. You hope not to have those. You can reduce those. But the big one to reducing is concussions. You see a lot more. I played high school ball in the late 90s to early 2000s and played college ball in the early 2000s. You guys would get concussions and just never report it. And they would just go on and go on and go on until you would have some kind of issues. Now concussions are getting detected. You get kids that come from high school, they may have a couple concussions already. You get kids in college, they may get a concussion. What we want to do is eliminate as much as we can. We know nothing can ever be 100% in this game, but we will eliminate as much as we can. So that really helps us in that aspect, getting that head out of it so they're not taking a knee, they're not getting hit in their helmet, hit in the side. The other portion of it is leads to less missed tackles because you're not working yourself to get out of position. We're going to talk a lot about leverage. On the defensive side of football, I think leverage is one of the most important things that you can have. Where is your leverage? Knowing where your leverage is extremely important. So we're winning with leverage. So we know where we need to fit on this guy. We're going to stay behind the football. If your leverage is depending on where you are on the guy, if you're a corner and you're outside, your leverage is on the outside. You're not going to let him get outside of you, so you're going to turn him back to your help. If you make the tackle, one of your teammates will. If you're an inside linebacker or you're a defensive lineman and they get out to the edge, your leverage is you're chasing them inside out. Well, now you have a sideline as your defender, so you're not letting them get into a big game because you're going to keep your leverage and you're going to give them that opportunity to have a cutback. So like I said, first thing we teach them is we use 3 phrases, and I try to keep them short because I think that's important instead of having something long and cumbersome that they have to remember all the time. I always say it's track near hip. Okay, guys, you're tracking his near hip, and your near hip is talking about, again, leverage. Are you inside out or are you outside in? I hit on that a little bit. If I'm an inside backer and they run jet sweep, I'm chasing him inside out. I'm tracking his near hip to put myself in a position there. If I track the near hip all the way and he turns up, I should make the tackle. Okay, if he never turns up, then I run him to the sideline and he's out of bounds and we still make the play. Am I a corner? Okay, am I a corner? They may run the same thing. They may run jet sweep at me as a corner. Well, I am outside of him now and I'm working outside in. I don't want to be in a position where I get my leverage and get inside of him because now I let him get the edge. So I work outside in, and if he cuts back to where the rest of the defense is. If he doesn't, he should run himself into me. So you got to know where his near hip is, okay? You want to continue to track that near hip. We're going to teach him to use the sideline as our friend. You have the whole sideline, okay? 120 yards of that sideline, and if you can run him east and west, or you run him lateral across the field, not let him get vertical, you can use that sideline. Or, like I said, if you've got a corner, you're based on where you're at on it. If he's on your inside shoulder, then turn him back into your help. So we teach you guys, first of all, track the near hip, track the near hip, track the near hip. We'll have some clips here, so we're going to watch. We want our guy to be in position. The quarterback takes off and runs in this position. We want to know where our leverage is. We're going to track that near hip, and we're going to continue to run him in that direction. We'll chase him down, and when he turns up, obviously in practice situations, we're not going to take down quarterback, or even if we're talking, this is a thud practice or this is a wrap practice where we're not tackling because you just can't go live all the time. We teach our guys to get into this position. You should be able to tag off on his near hip. You can see, should be able to see our backer right there. He's got a hand out. He's going to tag off on his near hip. Now, if we're in a game situation or we're live practice, he's going to take that shoulder, drive through the near hip, wrap him up, and take him down to the ground. Again, same thing. We're going to track the near hip. Play starts working to the boundary. Our safety sees it. He's right now looking where his near hip is. What we don't want him to do is we don't want him to get outside of here, okay, and we allow a cutback lane for that quarterback to cut back to. We know we have the best defender right there, the sideline. So we're going to take that angle at his hip to put ourselves in the position to make a play. He pitches it, and because we're not out of leverage, our safety's actually able to play quarterback, pitch, and then he can work towards the tailback also. If the quarterback turns it up, our safety's in position that he can make a play on it. As soon as he sees the pitch, he's on near hip. He's right there. Tailback's bigger than our safety. Doesn't matter because of the position he's in, he's able to ride him out of bounds. He's on that near hip. He's running through him, and he's running him through the sideline. Another one. So we talked leverage. Most of the time when you see leverage, you're going to see it inside out. You're going to see safeties inside out, tracking that near hip. You're going to see linebackers inside out, tracking the near hip. Even defensive ends dependent. But knowing where my leverage is, this is a great job by our corner. He's going in to crack the safety, okay? Our corner knows I'm already outside of him. All of my help, I got 10 other guys over here. I got nobody else over here. So I want to keep my leverage, okay? So he's on that outside hip now. I'm going to work into him. The worst thing he could do is get himself inside on that inside hip. He's got off on the wrong hip. And now all this guy has to do is just run wide and get outside of him. But he keeps himself on that correct hip, puts himself in a great position. Well, now the QB realizes I can't get outside of him because of where my leverage is. Since I can't get outside, I got to turn up now. Well, when he turns up now, our corner's sitting in a perfect position to make a play for a 1 yard gain, maybe right zero. So it's important that you guys understand where their leverage is. We teach that, and we talk to them regularly about knowing where your leverage is, because that's not always inside out. A lot of people say inside out, inside out, inside out. Yeah, that's holds true for most, but outside in certain situations too. Get another position by our inside backer. Our outside backer's working. He knows where his fit is. He's got his leverage. He's outside. He's going to take the near hip. If 20 takes us to the sideline, our backer should make our outside backer should make a play on him. Since he's wins his leverage, he forces him to cut up. Our inside backer's now on that near hip. He's going to run through, and we're talking a 1 yard gain in that situation because we have two guys working their leverage and knowing exactly where they need to be. The other thing leverage helps us with is cutback. If we have time to talk some drills at the end, we'll work cutback situation. If I track that near hip and that player cuts back on me, he's going to cut back into me and I can still make a play. If I run across him and lose my leverage, okay, I'm tracking him inside out. If I lose my leverage on him and I get outside of him, when he cuts back, I'm not there to make a play, or I got to stick out on one arm, and we know one-arm tackles don't help in those situations. So once to the sideline, it's going to be a little bit hard to see. So we have our backer working there. He's got the proper leverage on the tailback. The tailback tries to cut back. I believe we got a tight shot of this. No, where is that? Give me 1 second. Let me see if they got the wide clip on this. Where he's in a position, I thought I had a tight shot on this, but he's in a position where he's tracking the near hip towards the sideline, and what he does is that tailback ends up cutting back into our backer. You can't see it on the dang screen. And our backer's there in a position to make a play on that. One of the other things here, a lot of, when I played football and was growing up, I would get a lot of, you put your head on the football, put your face mask on the football, you're going to cause fumbles, knock the ball out, put it on there. That's a bad situation because now you're putting your head in a bad spot. If the ball's in his outside arm and you're coming outside in and you put your head across here, you put your head across his whole body. You put yourself in a position where a knee can get you, arm can get you, he can run through you and your head can hit the ground. Saw a couple of these concussions last week from the ground more than anything with that impact there. So we've got away from, we're not putting the head on the football to cause fumbles. We still think in this situation we can cause fumbles based on tracking the near hip on a guy, based on winning with our leverage. So what we'll do is we'll be on that near hip. Guys taught to put the ball in the outside arm. Right? Ball's in the outside arm, he gets knocked out, he fumbles, it goes out of bounds. It's ours. We get to keep the ball. As a defensive guy, punching out, whatever. Well, even if we're on the near hip and the ball's on the outside arm, when we go to wrap, we wrap him up. We teach our guys, you're coming across with an arm coming through the football. Instead of trying to get our head across and hit the football with a helmet, you're hitting the football with a fist now, or you're hitting the football with your opposite hand as you're wrapping him up. So we got our inside backer right there. He's going to come through. He's going to take his leverage. He's going to keep his head out of it, wrap him up. As he wraps him up, he ends up hitting the ball, knocking the ball out, and we create a fumble that way anyways. We'd like to see him be a little bit thicker through him with that shoulder and not be so much arms around. We want a shoulder. I don't want you guys to think we're just wrapping up with our arms and not using any of our body. We're really using our shoulders to put on them, but we want to get the head. The head's in a great position. It's out of there, but our shoulders should be on the side of him. If our head's behind the football carrier and we wrap him up and we're driving him down to the ground, our head's never going to make contact with anything. Can you skip forward just one for me? It keeps jumping two for some reason. There we go. Might just have to do it on yours. It's like I'm double tapping it. So we'll get a little better look at it right here. So he's in position. He's going to track his near hip. Ball like the ball carrier is supposed to do. He's got it in his outside arm. He's going to wrap through right there. He's in a great position. Head's out of it. Head's on the backside. Not going to get a concussion in that situation. He's going to wrap him up. He needs to bring his feet. He needs to bring his feet. That's going to kind of be one of the themes of a lot of these clips. Our guys got to get better with running the feet through it. He's taking his front arm and punching around the body and his back arm, and he ends up knocking the football out, something we work on. He takes the ball carrier to the ground because he doesn't know it's a fumble yet, and then one of our other guys is hopefully coming into position trying to get the fumble. So we still think we can cause fumbles, we can create turnovers with not having to put our head on the football. Key number 2, we tell guys, so we're track the near, track the near, track the near. Next thing is eyes through their thighs. We want to visually take our eyes and we want to see their thighs. So we have the near hip. Now it's an easy transfer to the thighs. And what that does is it puts us in a better position we call the strike zone, where we want to hit the guy. We want to hit him from shoulders to knee. Okay, we don't want to go below the knees to the ankles because all he's got to do is come up, step over, and he may make a play. We don't want to go above the shoulders because now you're getting into head on head, and you're looking at 1, injury, 2, 15-yard penalty, and or 3, ejection. And that doesn't help any of us, okay? Whether you get yourself injured, get them injured, or get us a 15-yard penalty defensively, or get an ejection. It puts us shorthanded all the time. So we preach strike zone. You lower your body. We teach them by lower your body by sinking at your hips. A lot of these targeting penalties you see, and especially the one that sticks out is the Clemson and Ohio State one on the Clemson backer. As he goes to make a tackle in Fields, he sinks his hips, but then at the very end, he bends his waist, which bending your waist naturally takes your head down. So we don't want that. We don't want to. We tell our guys always have a big chest. As you come in to make a tackle, you can bend your knees, but you keep your chest up and your eyes up. If you preach eyes through thighs, you got to look at it then, okay? If your head is down, your eyes will not be through the thighs. Your eyes will be down at the ground, and that's the only thing you'll be looking at. And if my eyes are looking at the ground, that means my head's this way. It means I'm probably getting a targeting penalty. I'm getting either a 15-yarder for us or an ejection. Makes a better tackle by taking away the guy's lower half, okay? And it's not always feasible to get to the lower half. That's why we talk shoulders to knees, because there's going to be some, and we'll talk about a profile tackle in a few. There'll be some times where we have to go through the upper body, through the chest also. But we're putting ourselves in a position of staying away from penalties and staying away from missed tackles. Like I said, less likely to get a targeting penalty or a 15-yard ejection. So we tell them, your eyes, as you're taking your eyes, you're taking it through their thighs so that you know that's where you're targeting. Can you run the clip for me? Because it keeps jumping, double taps. There we go. Thank you. And I'll just use this. I'll just say next clip. Right. So we're going to get in a position, we're in a strike zone. So right there's our backer. He's working up towards us. He starts to sink his hips. He's going to get in a good position, sink his hips. He's got to be a little bit better. He's taking his eyes to the thighs. He's hitting him in the strike zone. Now, his head is down too much. Where we need to get him is to sink his hips just a little bit more as he drives through him, or bring his head out of it, bull his neck a little bit. He's right where he wants to be in the strike zone, but he needs to keep that head up. The other thing is, if you do get in the strike zone, let's say you're hitting him at the waist, and for some reason your head does get down, you're not going to leave your helmet into the helmet. If you bend your helmet and you're hitting them on the shoulders, that's when it's going to get us into the situation. Can you go to the type thing? So we're going to be in position right here. He's in great position. He's on that near hip. Now he's ready to make a tackle. He's thinking to himself, eyes through the thighs. Lower myself, sink my hips, widen the base. It helps you out. It puts you in a good position to play cutback either way. And then he's going to take himself right through the strike zone, wrap up. We'd like to see him just a little bit higher. He gets a little bit low. We don't need to be on no single leg. We want to take through those thighs. Taking a calf is not going to help us in this situation. We're take them through the thighs. Okay, next clip. Here's another one. We're going to get eyes through the thigh. Again, our safety, we want to be just a little bit higher. We don't want them hitting right here. The other part of the reason we want to be above the knee is if you go low at their ankles and he brings his knee up, his knee's got a possibility of hitting you in the head. So we really preach Take it through the thighs, not the legs, not the ankles. Needs to keep his head, bowl his neck a little bit more. He is lowering himself to get strike zone to stay away from the head. He needs to put the shoulder right through his thighs, get the head out of it, take him down from that position. Get it tight for me. This one's actually great because it shows track the near hip from the middle of the field. He's tracking that hip the whole way. He's tracking the hip. Once he gets in position, he's got to take his ass to the thigh. We can see where we're hunched back a little bit here. We need to bring our weight down, sink our weight, and keep our head up a little bit more. But we're going to end up driving through his waist to thighs. Actually makes a great job of making contact right there, through there. We really teach to get him our head on the backside and wrap. That's why we want to put that shoulder into him, because we feel we wrap those legs up, we're going to take him down anyways, but he's also not going to fall on our head. Next clip. Strike zone, we're going to see him get in good position. Now, it turns into a fumble, so it kind of throws our corner off because he goes to make a tackle, then he realizes it's a fumble. But right before he realizes a fumble, we can see him sinking his hips, putting himself in a great position. He ends up going to his knees because he sees the fumble. But right before that fumble, if he does catch it, he's in a great position where he's lowered himself. He's going to hit him to the strike zone, below the shoulder, above the knees. He's going to put his chest or his shoulder on him, get his helmet out of the play, and make a great tackle. One of our better tacklers. This guy showed up in the earlier one, corner on our QB, and was able to understand leverage. You understand leverage, now he understands strike zone. He puts it all together, becomes a great tackler. Can you do a tight shot for me? Again, he's going to be in position. He's in great position right there. He's winning his leverage. The ball carrier sees him have that fumbles caused because he's in such a great position. The ball carrier's looking at him because he's trying to think, do I go inside, do I go outside? And he ends up fumbling the football. But he's in a great position. He's going to make a tackle in that situation. Ends up, like I said, fumble, ends up going to his knees, so it makes it a little bit harder in that aspect. But he's in a great position to be through strike zone. Next clip. Go to the tight. Looks it better with the corner coming off the edge. Great position. He's coming in off the edge. Our corner's coming off the edge. Whether it's a blitz or it's a read where he's making a play and he's got fast flow run. Most of the time they're going to beat up some size to attack instead of going at his ankles, instead of diving and just hitting his feet and hoping that we take him out and hoping he doesn't hurt us. He's going to take himself through the thigh right there. He's in a great position. Take himself through the thigh. Same guy. It's a wonderful 31 again. Same guy that we showed in a couple other clips. Understanding leverage. He's outside in. Understanding his strike zone. I'm going to be through his shoulder to his knees. Okay. In this situation, he knows these backs are bigger. I'm going waist to knees. He's shrinking that strike zone even more. Because if I'm going to run up on that back and I'm a corner and he's a bigger back and I run up on his upper body, I may not make the tackle. But if I take away that lower portion of him, he's heads out, no penalty, no injury, no nothing. Just a great solid tackle. Next one. Okay, then the last one, we talk to our guys. So we teach them track the near hip, eyes through the thighs, and then the last one is drive for 5 or roll. And what that means is when you make that tackle, we're going to drive them for 5 steps. We're going to finish the tackle. If we can't drive them for 5 steps, then we teach them a roll tackle. And what a roll tackle does is it allows us to get him down when we don't have the ability to drive him 5 steps. Usually Your D-line is going to do the drive for 5 more often than not because they're going to be in a position where they're going to run into a back or somebody like that. They're going to lock up with them, and they're going to run their feet 5 steps to knock them back. Inside backers, things that happen inside the box, a lot of times are going to be a drive for 5. The roll tackles happen a little bit more out on the perimeter, whether it's backers chasing guys that might be a little bit faster, or happens with secondary when a secondary guy is trying to take down a guy that's a little bit bigger. If you got to tie it up on a safety or a bigger back out to a corner, he's probably not going to rip up a guy that's gone by 20, 30, 40 pounds and run him back 5. He's probably going to grip him up, and then he's going to roll tackle to take his legs away because the guy's bigger than him. The roll has been very beneficial for defenses that I've coached the last few years, especially on the back end. It gives defensive backs, if you have a guy that's not, and not all DBs are hitters and or outside backers in those situations or safeties, okay? But you got to put them in a position to be successful because you still got to tackle to play football. And a lot of them find comfort in that roll tackle because they contract the near hip. They take the eyes to his eyes, and they know once I wrap him up, all I got to do is roll him, and I'm going to take him down. He's not going to run me over in that situation because I'm roll tackling him. So again, whenever we do tackling drills, we really preach on our guys 5 steps after contact. So we fit him up. He fits him up right here. He's shoulder there. I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more steps to make sure I finish him. This allows us to knock him backwards and not allow him to get extra yards. It's one of the worst things to see. I think any defensive coach can say this. You make contact at the line of scrimmage, and next thing you know, the ball carrier's got a 4-yard gain because he ends up keeping his legs. He's driving for 5, and you stopped your feet. Don't ever stop your feet. We hit contact, our feet should accelerate now, okay? When we talk to guys, use the term come to balance, okay? So they're coming to balance, which means they're sinking their weight, okay, sinking their hips. They widen their feet so they're in a good stance, and they make their contact. Now their feet should come back up under them as they roll those 5 steps. Roll their hips through. If anybody's a big power clean, we're a very big power clean here. You know, the last thing on the portion you catch on a power clean or hand clean, you're rolling your hips through. It's one of the most defensive movements that you'll do in the weight room. And it just teaches them that hip roll and allows them to finish guys through. If you can't drive them for 5 steps, then we roll tackle. Roll tackles will stop their momentum. So you hit him, you think he might run you over, you may not be able to stop him. You're going to roll tackle, and you're going to take his momentum and use it against them, almost in a situation that as a wrestler would do. He's use their momentum to get them down to the ground against them. Like I said, drills when we do them, we teach driving for 5, but we will also teach guys how to proper roll tackle because we can't tell them, hey, you got to roll tackle, but we're just never going to teach you how to roll tackle. You got to still teach them how to do that skill set. So we'll still teach everybody how to do that. Next clip. See, in this situation, our backer doesn't quite drive him back for 5, but he's a little far past him, and we'll see in the end zone. He's a little far past him. If he's in a great position, we wouldn't allow him to get extra yards. But he does keep his feet running. Instead of giving up 4 or 5 yards, going for a ride, he gives up a yard or 2. Can you attack for me, Coach? We'd like to see him be a little more stout on the ball carrier in this situation. His head's in a great position, but his shoulder, he's not tackling shoulder through the ball carrier, which is what we're talking about. You drive that shoulder through him. He's actually putting his chest on the side. Now, he is active. He's very active with his feet, which I love. Right there. He ends up running his feet 5 steps. So the ball carrier gets a 2-yard gain off of it. If he gets himself fitted in the right position, it's going to be a no gain. Now, if he does this, and this is where running his feet saves him, he only gives up 2 yards. Let's say he stops his feet on contact. He's going to go for a ride on that tailback for 4 or 5, maybe 6 yards, or the tailback may just break off the tackle because he doesn't have his feet. So the feet are extremely important in that aspect. We'd like to see him be a little bit better in where his fit is and where his shoulder is. Next slide, please. Next one. Variations of hawk tackling, okay? So first one we talked about, roll tackle. That's what variations. we kind of build that into, track the near hip, eyes to the thighs, run for 5 or roll. So we kind of built that into that. Other ones are a lift tackle, which you don't get quite a few of those. I think I only found one clip from our practices where we got it, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Profile tackle, get a lot of profile tackles. One of the big knocks that I always heard when I told people, oh, we're hawk tackling, we're rugby tackling, and I got it from coaches and other people, it's like, well, you can't hawk tackle on the 1 yard line. If you hawk tackle them on the 1 yard line, you're going to get ran over. Correct. You can't get in that position where you're going to be possibly getting ran over or roll tackle them into the end zone. So a profile tackle for us is still a hawk tackle, but now we're fitted up on them. We're raising the strike zone. So instead of going from knee to the waist, we're going to go waist to shoulder. So we're going to use the upper half of that strike zone. We're going to fit a guy up and run our feet to knock him backwards. And then a compression tackle, which I think is one of the best things that you can teach, is based off leverage. You got one guy coming one way, one guy coming the other way. How many times do you see 2 players go to make a tackle and one knocks each other off? Well, if they don't understand leverage, they don't understand a compression tackle, then they're going to knock each other off because one guy's going to work out of position and hit the other guy. Next slide. Roll tackle. Again, we kind of talked through this a little bit, but track the near hip, we use our leverage, our head's outside, not across body. Okay, we reach that, eye to the thighs, tap and squeeze, and then roll him until he's down. Okay, we'll use it in open field. If we miss a basic hawk tackle, also if you're giving up size, we're going to use it in those variations. Got a couple more instances where we had a drive for 5 earlier. Now we're in a position where we need to make a roll tackle. Surprisingly, this is 31 showing up again. He's going to be in a good position. We're in a 3rd down situation, a little scrimmage, and ball's thrown short. He comes up in the open field on the receiver, gets him wrapped up, knowing he can't drive for 5, and he doesn't need to drive for 5 because the guy's 4 or 5 yards away from the first down. He goes immediately into a roll tackle, rolls, takes the legs away. Some people call it gator roll. It's the same concept as a gator roll. We take the legs away from him, and he can't go anywhere on the field. Down, now we're off. Can you go tag for me? Get great position, wraps him up, runs through him, roll tackle at the end, takes him down, doesn't give up any yards after catch, which is extremely important. Next slide. Inside linebacker in a position. This one is giving up a little bit of size. We get ourselves in a bad position. We're not as thick as we should be on him. We're not taking a shoulder through. We're off on the side again, but he will roll tackle. We can see it at the end. Roll tackle, he gets him wrapped up. Roll. Once he's down, let go. Again, good position. Really should be a basic hawk tackle. He kind of gets himself out of position. Also, the guys some of the roll tackles lend themselves, guys stopping their feet. We really try to use roll tackle as the last means. We really harp on drive for 5, drive for 5, drive for 5. He's an inside backer. He should be running through him, driving him back for 5. But he's not in that situation. But to preserve the tackle, he still rolls and makes a play. Next slide for me, please. Situation right here. Ball breaks to the outside. Our safety is in position. Makes it. Wraps him up. Runs his foot first step. Ends up taking him down with a roll tackle. Good to the tight shot for me. I have found it in my last few years of doing this that DBs naturally gravitate towards a roll tackle because it puts them in a position where they make contact with the guy, but they're not necessarily ever going to be much bigger than that guy in some aspects. So it allows him he's in a great position. He's got him wrapped up. He's kind of chasing him from behind. So running him 5 steps, isn't going to be the best situation there. He rolls them, ends up getting a no gain. Next slide for me, please. All right, a lift tackle. Okay, again, we do everything the same. We track the near hip. We're heads outside across the body, eyes through the thighs. We wrap and squeeze. Now, what changes this is, and this is not pick a guy up and body slam him into the ground. What this is, a lot of times, this is you get this inside. If you got a bigger guy on you, or you're in a short yardage situation, you want to take his leg away. So you'll hook the opposite leg with your offhand. So if you wrap him, I'm taking my right shoulder through him. Okay, I got this one. My opposite hand, my hand, I'm going to hook that leg and I'm going to pull that leg up. And what that leg does is, now as a ball carrier, I only got one leg. Well, I lose my momentum and I'm going to go backwards. So it allows us to take a leg away. Again, we're not trying to pick him up and body slam him. We're trying to take away that leg. He can't run one-legged, okay? If he's going to run us over and we're fitted up in a profile tackle, which we'll talk about in a second, but we're fitted up on him and he's going to run me over, well, I'm going to scoop that leg, grab that leg, and take it off the ground for him. Next slide for me. Like I said, it was hard finding a clip. This is not something that is extremely easy for guys to do, but they figure it out in some situations. So we're going to get right here. Our backer, he's going to fit him up. We'll see it from the tight shot. Go to the tight shot for me, Coach Wiggins. Thank you. He's going to wrap him up. He ends up, it's so difficult to see. So he's going to end up picking him up. Yeah, here, hit slow forward for me. He gets there, he takes away the leg, and he's able to take the ball carrier down in that instance. If you want to run it one more time slow. Picks him up, he's going to lift him. Again, he's not lifting him body slam. He's lifting him to take his leg away so the guy can't run through him. Next slide for me. Profile tackle. This is probably after we teach our normal hawk tackling, after we teach you guys roll tackling and those. Profile tackling is the next one that comes up the most. You're going to see it a lot inside backers. You're going to see it a lot with defensive linemen when you're not in a situation of being able to work off to the side and hawk tackle. You know, tackling is so great in the open field. It's so great when, you know, you're in a position to make a play, and if he falls forward for a yard, okay. But when you're on a 1 yard and he only needs a yard to get, we want to make sure that we make a great profile tackle. So we use this inside the box in short yardage situation. When we want running back to go back. Also, if the receiver, tries to jump us, we don't launch into them. We're going to run through them and profile tackle to them. Again, the couple differences is we're always going to say track the near hip. Using our leverage. When we take eyes through the thighs, eye through the thighs takes us to that rugby tackle. Now, this is where it's a little bit different. We attack the near jersey number. So I look at his jersey. Normally, I'd be looking right here at his thighs. Well, now I know I got a profile tackle. He only needs a yard. I'm going to look through his jersey number. So let's say, you know, he's 22. I'm going to look through that 2, and that's where I'm going with it. I'm going to put my shoulder, my chest on that jersey number. I'm going to wrap from that situation. And then you gotta drive for 5 with this. There is no profile roll tackle. You get up there profile and you try to roll a guy, all you're going to do is throw him forward or hurt yourself. You always have to do a drive for 5 with this. This one's actually got a little bit of both. We haven't got blue top compression. This got a little bit of both. But you can see really the inside, the D lineman that comes off, but the backer does a great job right there where he knows he's got a profile tackle. It's inside the box. He's higher in the strike zone. He's attacking that near number. And then he runs his feet. Stop their momentum. You do a tight shot for me. Again, this is compression, jumping ahead a little bit. It's great how some of these clips, you got a profile in it and you got a compression. So we know our guys can see both of them at the same time. But again, backer's in a great position. Head is outside of the tackle. It's on the outside. He's got this shoulder on that near number. He's driving for 5. Stop the momentum. Next forward. Right here, it's a great job. Again, our linebacker. We'll see him right here. Works himself in position. 3rd and 1. Puts that shoulder on that near number. Makes a profile tackle. If he takes a roll tackle here, if he goes through the thigh and doesn't drive him backwards, the thing the profile tackle does is it forces you to run 5 steps. It forces you to drive him. So that's why it's so good in short yardage, because you're not leaving your feet. Where guys have a tendency to leave their feet when they hawk tackle or they don't run and they roll tackle. Now he's driving his feet. Other guys get there, knock him back. Doesn't get the first down. Go tight for me. Great position. We kind of get 2 guys in on it on the profile. Went 45 to keep his feet there. He ends up going to his knees. We don't want that. But 54 is also on it. Great position. Heads out of it. Okay. Near number on his near number. Run our feet. Don't give up any ground. Next clip for me. Good profile tackle. They cut it back inside to our linebacker right there. He's near number on near number. Makes contact. One thing we'd like to see him do is run his feet a little bit more, not allow him to drive us past the first down. Do a tight shot for me. He's in a position. One, we're winning with leverage. He's doing a great job. Our backer's doing a great job. We're winning with leverage right there. Our backer is in a good profile. Now he's turned. That's the number 1 problem right there. When he's turned, his hips aren't squared. He's soft and he gets ran over. If he was squared up on him when he made the profile tackle, he brings both feet, runs for 5 steps, and they may not get the yardage. Next clip for me. Last one, talk about is a compression tackle. Again, everything's the same, but now it's 2 ball carriers coming together, okay? We want to use this when 2 or more tacklers are converging on the ball carrier. This keeps the heads away from each other. It keeps guys from knocking them off. What it allows it to do is both guys are playing from leverage. You see this on the perimeter a lot, in my opinion, or you may see it from defensive linemen from end to D tackle. Both are conversion and compressing on him. Or if they throw a screen out, it may be a safety in a corner compressing on him with leverage, or an outside backer in a corner, outside backer and an inside backer. There's a lot of different places this works on the field. Go to the next clip for me. We're in a situation here, D lineman. Quarterback pulls. We have 1 D lineman fighting off there. We have 1 D lineman, so we got a D end and a D tackle, and they both stay on their leverage. Compress them and don't allow them to get upfield or get anywhere. You can see both have them backed up right there. Can you go to the tight for me? Thank you. Great position. Near hip, near hip. That's always knowing where your leverage is. Now, he can't, if he bounces outside, we make a play. If he bounces inside, he makes a play. If he tries to split us, we should compress it, wrap him up. Got to tackle. Next clip for me. Again, out on the perimeter, we got a backer that's chasing. We got a corner beats his block. So now he's got a choice. Outrun the corner. Well, if our corner's got leverage, he's not going to get outside of him. Next choice is cut back. Well, if our inside backer's in good position, he's tracking the near hip. That leaves him with one choice. Try to split him, because that's all that's left for him to do. He knows he's taking away outside, he's taking away inside. Now I have to split him. Well, if those guys do a great job of compressing on him, there's nowhere to split him. He wins his side, he wins his side. No one knocks each other off, and it turns into a half-a-yard game because guys understand where their leverage is. Next clip for me. We'll skip over this. There you go. That is Frostburg hog tackling. How we teach it is one of the first things that we teach. We work it daily. We preach. The big things that I always preach to our coaches is got to use the buzzwords, okay? Track the near hip, out to the thighs, run them for 5 or roll tackle them. Then we'll teach the other portions of it. But we want to make sure we're teaching the same language. Coach, I'm good. We can open up to questions that anybody has.
Awesome, Coach. Great job, man. I think we got somebody actually that joined us online and is jumped into the room to ask us. So you got Thomas Turnbull here. Thomas, go ahead, man. I think we can unmute you. We're figuring all that stuff out as we go through it.
Everything's changed,
right?
Hey, Coach. Sorry, I dropped in late. If we're only using StreamYard for questions, that's on me. I just jumped in now, so I really don't have too many questions.
Oh, okay. All right, man. Not a problem. Appreciate it. So yeah, Coach, going back to the actual run through and how you kind of combine it. I know you took us through a whole bunch of concepts. Just for, just one of those other drills, just something simple pre-practice wise. Do you guys do this every day? Is this something that you're incorporating in every single drill period that you're going into? Is this something that is there something that you're asking for your guys who are on your defensive staff to really focus on within their time as well?
Very much so. I'm hoping that doesn't work out here, does it? No, I was hoping to be able to draw it on. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, Coach, we're going to turn the camera a little bit.
All good. I see you, Coach. I see you, man. You're not trying to get on screen. I see you, brother.
I'm trying to make sure I stay incognito. You know how it goes.
I hear you, man.
So what we'll do is if we break down and we got half the field down here, okay? We got our defensive half of the field. Our D-line is practicing, linebackers, and then usually safeties, corners, however it may be, okay? What we'll do is we'll combine these guys, have all the DBs go there together. So we'll circuit this, and we'll do a couple different other circuits. Coach Wiggins, do you think you could push that maybe just a little bit closer? Yeah, so they can see. Yep. We'll do different circuits out of this, but we'll always operate our circuit. So our D-line will start here. All of our D-linemen will start there with the defensive line coaches, DBs, linebackers. And let's say we take a 10-minute period. We're going to take 3 minutes at each position and give guys 20 seconds to transition through. So the D-line will have a drill that they're doing today. So let's say D-line's tracking the near hip. So they're going to do a track the near hip drill, and I can go through a couple of those in a minute. So they're going to run through those 3 minutes. So everybody's tracking the near hip. We can do this in helmets. We can do this in helmets and uppers, and we can do this in full pads. We do not allow what we're practicing to limit what we're doing. Obviously, the whole idea is to teach them the skill and get them in the right set, not that we're running guys over. So we do a lot of work, even if we're in helmets, we do a lot of work in tackling. The DB coaches, let's say the DB coaches are doing a compression tackle. So they got a compression tackle drill. And let's say the linebackers are doing an eye through the thigh drill. So we'll go 3 minutes, blow whistle, and we rotate them through. So each coach becomes very proficient. We sit there in the off season, and each position coach or D-line coaches will come up with 3 or 4 tackling drills that they think are important we want to do. Our DB coaches will do the same, and our backer coach will do the same. Instead of having the coaches move around and the players stay, now the coaches become very proficient in their 3 or 4 tackling drills that they do. And usually 3 is enough, because as you're going through it each day, your D-line coach has got 3 drills, your DB coach has got 3 drills, your linebacker coach has got 3 drills. You got 9 different tackling drills that you're running through, and you're going to get good at those. So all of those things that we can incorporate into those tackling drills. We don't need, 100 different tackling drills, but every coach has 3 really solid. And then, like I said, we move the players around so they know we get to the linebacker coach, we got this drill, and this is what the coach is emphasizing. And a lot of times it's based on their position group. Compression tackle you see on the perimeter a lot. A lot of times the DB coaches are the coaches that teach that. Track the near hip a lot of times goes to backers because a lot of the backer drills you'll do is you're working on tracking guys near hip.
That's a great follow-up. Absolutely. James Robertson says, great stuff, Coach. Ex-Bobcat 04 through 08. Great to see you guys and what you've done with the program. I think I saw Jake Coleman pop in and say, great stuff. He's loved the presentations today. I saw Coach Taylor jumped in. So doing an outstanding job. And if anybody's got questions, man, please shoot them over. The coaches are doing an outstanding job of really breaking down the fundamentals as far as this. You have some examples of tackling drills, PDF, PowerPoint, Juan Carlos Lozano. And if I said that wrong, I apologize, sir. But yeah, any examples of that drill? I think he was just covering, but he can hit them again.
I can go back looking through some of my PowerPoints. I should have some, and I can look back through some old film. A couple that I can put up real quick that I think teaching on the board. I call it is if. So it's inside, in front. And what this does is it teaches us our leverage and it teaches us a compression tackle. So we'll start with a ball carrier here on the sideline. Okay, on the numbers. We'll start with one defensive guy and a second defensive guy, one on the 10, one on the 20. Blow a whistle. These defensive players are going to work downhill to get themselves in position on the ball carrier, each of them on a near hip. So he's on this near hip, he's on that near hip. On a second whistle, the ball carrier will move one direction. He will stay in front, he will stay inside. Then the ball carrier can take it back this way. Now, change my leverage, I need to stay in front and he needs to stay inside.
Nice.
Our inside in front drill. You can start as basic as working them. We will start the first time we do it, we'll blow the whistle and they'll just work to get in position on the hip. And that's all. We'll send them back around. Second time, we'll let the ball carrier move so they learn to stay in front, inside. Third time we go through it, we'll have him go back and forth. So now we got to transition from an in-front player, an inside player to an in-front player, or an in-front player to an inside player. But Coach, I can look through my notes and see what I have tackling drill-wise, and I know I should be able to send that to you, and then you can post it for that.
What's Coach, you got another question. What's the most repeated term at a defensive practice at Frostburg? So what's the thing that I guess Coach Coleman's trying to ask is what is it that you're really, your rallying cry for these guys as they're kind of running through and again, teaching the concepts that you've been going through today?
Well, if it's any term, it's run to the ball. Okay. We're talking tackling. I think the biggest one is track the near hip. If you don't track his near hip, and that's why it's first. If you don't track his near hip and you get out leveraged or you get outside of it, you can't make the tackle. You lose the cutback. You lose the eyes through the thigh. You lose the ability to run. You can't build the other ones until you hit the first one. So track. Right. If you're talking strictly tackling, we're going to yell track the near hip. And we're going to change that with leverage. Leverage, or track the near hip. Either one of those are the terms that we use. But if you don't hit that one, none of the other ones matter.
Awesome. Let's see if anybody – we're kind of on a delay, so sometimes the questions that are coming in will come in a little bit later as it goes. Coach, can you say the name of that drill that you covered again?
You can either call it inside in front or I just call it is if. Is if or inside in front. But that's our inside in front drill. It teaches us to track the hip. And then it allows us to teach those guys how to make a compression tackle on it. Because all a compression tackle is two guys tracking their correct hip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a great point. And you said that with the variation, you said first time you run it through, they're just going to come together as the group. And then the next time you're going to add that adaptation where they're going to move back and forth.
So the first time we run through, we tell these guys, they're going to stop with their inside foot up and outside foot back 1 yard away from the ball carrier and about a yard between them. We don't want so close that he can get outside. We don't want so far away that he splits us. So we get him in that position. And we have that inside foot up and outside foot because when he breaks, our hips are already open that way. If a guy gets his feet switched, he gets that foot there and that foot there. Now when he breaks, I'm here. I got to turn and pivot and open my hips all the way up. So what I want is my hips to be in position already in case he does it. So inside foot up, outside foot back. If he breaks outside, I can just go. If he breaks inside, I can step down and make a play. And then that's how we teach it. Now the second time through, we get him in that position. We blow the second whistle. First whistle sends them. We blow the second whistle, and then we let the ball carrier choose the direction and let those guys react off of it. It's a great one to film if you can get it in front of like a press box or if you have a guy that's on the field, if you have a hand cam, it's a great one to film to show guys getting out of leverage and what getting out leverage does in that situation. Then we graduate to, and it's probably not all on the same day, but let's say we come back to this drill. We do it on Monday. Let's say we come back to it on Thursday. Now we let the ball carrier make 2 cuts. So they have to work on the transition.
This you're getting comments. I'm getting comments, Coach. Loving the whiteboard. All right, loving the whiteboard, and this is awesome. Simply because when you're able to break this down like this for so many of us that are watching it, it gets really easy at times for us to all get these drills together. But when someone like you is taking this time to really break it down so that everyone gets a chance, I think it does a tremendous amount for the game. Because like you said, there's going to be those times where you might have a camera and you're out of practice field, or even if it's your cell phone and you're able to actually film it and then have the kids get into a breakdown position so that their chest is in front and that they're working together as they compress through the zone. That's a tremendous drill to be able to incorporate. Is there one other idea as far as like say like a strip concept that you would incorporate into this as well? Or you said earlier that you didn't really focus on the idea of the strip because you're going to let the natural hit kind of occur. But is there something that you're thinking kind of that you incorporate with it?
Two things that we do. One is as you're doing a tackling drill, okay, as you're doing, let's say you're doing a fit profile drill. Like I said, be creative. That's the biggest thing I would tell anybody here. If you take those 3 concepts, you can be creative and come up with 100 different drills.
Sure.
But let's say we're non-padded, and I got a ball carrier over here, and I'm the defensive player. Well, we'll work on, all right, come to position. This is where you want to be. Okay, so you work on that. I come to position. My head's on that near hip. I'm wrapping them up. My shoulders in the strike zone. Make them bend their knees so they can feel it. Well, the next thing is put a ball in his arm. Now you teach them step 2, wrap, punch. So they get used to, when I come through with that front arm, I'm coming down violently through on the football, trying to knock the football out. You may not get it. Okay, if you miss it, now you just wrap up and continue through the tackle. But if you come here and you hit the ball, you end up creating a fumble with it. That's
absolutely
what we do. The other one that we do a lot of is I call it
Coach, I'm not interrupted your train of thought, but Larry, Coach White asked, on that drill together, do the shoulders come together? Is that something that's a coaching point that you're going to add for them?
The shoulders come together. If we're here, I missed it. So we let him go either way. We also give him the freedom to try and split us.
Got you.
Tell that guy, hey, if they're too wide, okay, when we blow the second whistle, split them. And then you'll see this out of those guys. And you'll be like, see, you're too wide. You shouldn't have to banana and turn it. But if he does split us, the shoulders do come together. If he is lateral, whichever way, we want to be about a yard or so apart. So I want to stay in front by a yard, and I want to trail behind about a yard. The only time the shoulders come together is when he goes to split us. Now we both compress on it. My shoulders hitting here, his shoulders hitting him on the other side.
Right on. Got you.
Second man in drill you're talking about incorporating. Anytime we can build on, so we use little basic tackling drills to begin with. We use basic turnover drills to begin with. As the season progresses, as spring ball progresses, now this actually is a tackle turnover drill together. So we're going to have a ball carrier here. He's going to have a football in his hand, okay? He's going to start jogging out. About on the second step, he's going to tuck it. So let's say he tucks it in his right arm. As these guys are pursuing, he tucks it in his right arm. We're going to go secure the tackle. He's going to wrap and got y'all backwards. Sorry. He tucks it in his right arm. He's going backside. He's going to secure the tackle. So I got it in my right arm here. The guy on the left, 2 defensive guys. The guy here is securing the tackle. Now, we always tell him, you got to make a decision. If he's got the tackle secured, or if he doesn't have the tackle secured, you got to go make a compression tackle. You got to go tackle and help him. When he has the tackle secured, then we call him second man in. Mm-hmm. What the second man in does is now he attacks for the football.
Mhm.
Tackle is secured in this situation. He comes through, tackle's secured. Now the football's here, and we teach them, whether you're ripping the ball out, pin the elbow, rip the ball out, push the elbow up, punch the ball out, depending on how they have the ball. If they're up here like that, you're going to punch it out. If he's got it real tight here, you're going to pin it and can't open it, can't open it, or you're going to pull it out. So then we get that situation. So then all we do is just simply rotate guys through here. So guys are working on being a guy who secures the tackle or being a guy who causes the turnover. So now it allows us to do both things. And when we get to that, it gets really good because now in that 3-minute period, we're hitting tackling and turnover, just not one of them. And turnover is a big thing that we do. We treat turnover circuit just like a tackle circuit because that's something that's important to us.
Awesome. That's a great adaptation to a tackle turnover. I know, a lot of coaches, especially when I first got in, it was high school coaches that were talking about tackle turnovers and stuff. And that's a really great adaptation to it. Coach, it looks like we're right at that 12 o'clock. I truly appreciate you taking the time today, man, to come, both of you guys. You're tag teaming it up there with the technology. I know this is a different format than we've ever done, but I'm really glad that we had the chance to do some clinic stuff today. This is going to, we're going to put your info up, and if you got anything that you want to send to myself or that I can put onto our site for any of the coaches or anybody that was tuning in to the Facebook feed or on the YouTube site, it would be definitely welcome. And again, I really appreciate your time today, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again, and maybe we'll do another series with it in a couple months or something, because I think clinics are so necessary, especially with everything that's going on with COVID. And I think a lot of people are eager to get at it.
I would agree. I appreciate it. I love it. If you guys do it again, let me know. Let us know. We're always in to do it. And thank you. And thank you to all the other coaches that came out today. I know it's not like a normal glacier or something where I can see all you guys and thank you. I don't even know who's out there. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you, man.